Hey. See, okay. I don't know that I did that correctly, but we'll hope I did.
I was listening to the sounds and grand rising, grand afternoon, everybody on this beautiful Sunday.
Hello, hello,
Welcome
hello.
to welcome to Echo as we echo the vibes of cryptocurrency and tech in our lives. Life is happening and transforming. I'm here with my beautiful host, Kimberly of BK Crypto and Rashona Bennett. And we are here to just generally bring you some important information on what's happening in the crypto world, in the tech world, and financing, and just really just inform you that life is lifing and life is changing. And how do we improve that while these things are happening? There are things that we can control and there are things that we can't, but it's something that is consistently echoing in your life that is bringing you changes.
Mhm. So, with that, we'd like for you to take a moment to like this program, follow us, and we're going to get into it. So, Rashona, I mean, you're kind of known in the space, right? But we want to just go back to some questions that an average individual who may not already be interested or invested in cryptocurrencies and just things that they may want to get familiar with. So I'm just going to shoot you a few questions and let's just take it from there. So
You
what
sure.
what made you become, we always say, why did you invest in Bitcoin? But what made you even get interested in cryptocurrencies?
That's a really good question. I think again, it's being the right time, the right place. If anyone knows me, I'm a serial investor. I'm all about the money and evolution. I was a real estate agent, had my license, and again, I was really watching at the time millionaire listings. I think they
Mhm.
were in New York City and they were in California.
Mhm.
And again, I was sitting there, and some guy asked if they could buy a house for $18 million, but they said Bitcoin. And again, if you are in investing or about traditional aspects of the markets, when
Mhm.
you hear that level of information, to me was like, what is Bitcoin? How could you buy a house with Bitcoin, and what is that? I
Mhm.
never heard of it. So for me, it was a cue for me to do some research to
Mhm.
figure out what that is. But the real thing also, what happened is that I actually was praying about God to really open up some new measures of how would I say, investing.
Mhm.
Something new is coming in, something evolutionary
Mhm.
that I can learn from, invest in, or expand my community. And you
Mhm.
know what? I walked outside my house. It's really that simple. And I bumped into a homeboy, James Assad, honestly. And he was like, Rashona, I need to jump in this call. And again, either you're prepared or you're not. It really
Mhm.
is. And sometimes it is scary how things happen when you ask for it. And I
Mhm.
got on this call, didn't know anyone except for James. And they were all high tech people, and they were talking about Bitcoin,
Mhm.
Ethereum, and Litecoin. And
Mhm.
the only thing I knew tech was that I'm from Brooklyn Tech, a graduate, and I have some technology within myself. And it just said, all I heard was Ethereum World Computer. That was my trigger.
Okay.
And I invested in Ethereum, was my first
Mhm.
coin, honestly, and then Bitcoin.
Ah, okay. Funny. My first coin was Litecoin,
Uh-huh.
and
Why
then
was it
Bitcoin.
Litecoin?
Yeah. I was just like, ah, Litecoin's doing nothing, but hey, you never know. Anyway, you got to start somewhere. So that is, because those assets are readily available on your major exchanges like Coinbase and so forth. So
Most
that's
definitely.
where you
Yep.
start.
And Binance at the time until
Yeah,
things started changing real,
until we
real
can no
fast.
longer use Binance. This is true in the United States. Okay, so so here, okay, there's a lot of talk in the news about cryptocurrencies and traditional currencies. So, what do you think, or what do you believe is the biggest benefit of using a cryptocurrency over a traditional currencies?
Most definitely, good question. Well, first, we know with traditional currencies, and as we all know, money is an exchange for goods and services, so it's constantly evolving. Because I'm a visionary and I'm a futurist, I'm always like, well, what's next? So there are always a lot of benefits to any change, right? If it's something that you can utilize to buy goods and services.
Mhm.
So being the traditional market is that we're living in a system that's overprinting. When I realized the concept of digital currency, I realized there's a supply and demand, which means that they can't overprint, which is a plus. which means it's also using a hedge on inflation, right? Which is huge with traditional money right now. Is decentralized, which means that the cryptocurrencies, digitalization networks reduces reliance on central authorities like banks, right, and government. And honestly, the fees are low. It's fast and low cost transactions. Cryptos, in a sense, kind of enables like cross-border transactions with the minimum fees. I know a lot of us, I mean, I was born here, but I have friends that are international. And worldwide, you hear about the transactions with sending Bitcoin to Nigeria, sending Bitcoin to Mexico. It's an easier, faster transaction versus what is the Western Union, if that even exists. I don't even know the last time I used Western Union. Right? Security. Think about security. A lot of us are getting money hacked, and that's not even before crypto came in, but a lot of us have gotten our money taken away from traditional banks. So security, think about blockchains, cryptographic security, which makes fraud and counterfeiting nearly impossible. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't happen, because it has, but nearly impossible, right? When I think about the world, when we think about globalization and how it has changed the way we deal with businesses around the world, you think about the global accessibility is now more accessible. So anyone with the internet, your phone, your smartphone has connection to participate and promote more financial inclusion. That's one of the reasons I actually got into this space. And I can say honestly, transparency. A lot of our old system traditionally, there's not transparency. You know, they're overprinting. You know, we talk about inflation. We're talking about, you know, the IRS and taxes. And we think about some of the things that could be solved if you're overprinting and you can't print an infinite amount of funds. And why can't some of these things take place of, you know, paying for taxes and school loans? So, you know, you have your public ledgers and it allows you transparency between transactions, Kim. I mean,
That's it.
It's a no-brainer for me. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not complications, but it's a no-brainer for me.
As you've gone down the path of knowledge in the crypto space, you've come to realize, we've all come to realize that, you know, like the ledger is actually fully viewable to anybody, you know? So they will probably allow, I think they should, you know, a privacy layer on top, but the fact that it's free for everybody to see would keep people honest, you know?
Yes, I see. Yes, jump out girls. Thank you. And we've been reaching out for you. So we're looking forward to having you on the next segment. She said too many middlemen in traditional finance, no middlemen in Bitcoin. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Great point of view.
Yeah.
How many of us have been subjected, and I'm talking about us, meaning not the top tier, not the 1% wealthy. I'm talking about the middle class, which is typically the poor class, right? Have always been part of that. You only can stay here. You can't grow, right? Because of those issues of the middleman coming in and interjecting. And you're right, with Bitcoin, right, Kim? There's no middleman.
Yeah. That there doesn't have to be a middleman, even though they're trying to put systems in place to establish a middleman.
But you own your Bitcoin.
Right.
You own your Bitcoin.
Right.
You own your wallet. You own your private keys, and you are in control of your transactions.
That's the way Bitcoin was designed. You know, then that we get into self-custody, you know, and so with self-custody, some people don't feel comfortable with that. You know, some people would much rather have another entity responsible for their currency. And, you know, if that's what you choose to do, that's on you. But the way Bitcoin was designed, it was designed for you to take control of your own financial well-being. And so, you know, it's self-custody.
And I'm glad you bring that up, because I want to break down why it's so interesting. So Bitcoin itself runs on something called blockchain technology. And so for most people, we're so used to the dollar bill basically getting printed, getting direct deposit, right? Going to your bank and you're making a deposit, or you're basically withdrawing, which means that there's a ledger, and that ledger that they have is a physical ledger. Now, even though computers have increased, you still don't know the transaction is there, because if we know about the real system, your money really is not in the bank. Yes, I said that, about 10%. So when you think about the blockchain technology, right?
Mhm.
You're thinking about it's a blockchain in a decentralized ledger where transactions are grouped into blocks, and those blocks hold information. Each block is linked to previous ones, creating an immutable chain, right? The chain reaction. And when you think about that, it ensures transparency, it ensures security, and also trust in cryptocurrency transactions.
Mhm.
Now, I know many of us have transactions with our banks, and I know there's been mistakes, and they literally couldn't find your transactions because that occurred to me before. And I had to take snapshots or duplications that I've made this transaction. I deposited money at this point in time. You need to find that transaction and you need to give me back my money.
That's real. That's real. That's funny. I'm that girl who keeps everything, for the 7 years, and I'm like, you know what? Oh, you can't, you don't have it. No problem. I
No
know I got
problem.
it here.
Listen,
And I
I
keep everything
download and
filed
printed
away
my
too.
statements. I
Mhm.
got you.
Exactly. That's all this, digital thing where they're just like, oh, just don't worry about it. I said, no, and then you'll be charged me later to go find it. No, I'm good. I want my
Exactly.
copy. I want my copy, and then I'll store it. So
Yes.
honestly, crypto was easy for me because I've
Right.
already been storing everything. So what do you think are the main risks or downsides associated with investing in
Good
cryptocurrency?
question. Because in anything, honestly, we're not here just give you all
Mhm.
happiness and joy. But
Right.
there's always going to be risk in any investment. No financial advice. We always say only invest in things you're willing to lose. So when it comes to crypto, it's volatile. Yeah, cryptocurrencies experience extreme price fluctuations, but I like that high.
Mhm.
Lack of regulations. I know right now they're working on systems being in place to have more regulations, and there's a pro to regulations to an extent, right? Because there are always going to be some bad players.
Mhm.
That is the world that we live in,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
So regulatory uncertainty possesses risk for investors.
Mhm.
And let's think about the energy consumption. Now, this has been a conversation with a lot of people who are about the environment and the green. Proof of work mining consumes significant energy, but I know that there are major things that are helping in this space, like solar panels and other things like that. We can go deeper in on another segment.
Mhm.
And then criminal use. Let's
Mhm.
think about it. Okay, criminal use. Cryptos can be misused for illegal activities, but so can cash. And
Mhm.
more of bigger players like,
Cash
I'm
is
going to
used
say,
more
J.
often.
Morgan have been caught in major illegal activities.
Mhm.
They don't
Mhm.
talk about. So when it comes to any type of evolution of money, there's always going to be a bad player. Don't let that stop you from investing. That's part of life.
Mhm. Mhm.
I keep it real. I keep it real.
Yeah,
And
this is true. This
always
is
get so caught up in the criminals activities when they're pumping that to you. But are they telling you that our government are criminals,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Taking from the people, overprinting, right?
Mhm.
Minimizing a certain group of people to allocate certain abilities to be free, to build wealth. It
Mhm.
is happening in every system.
Mhm.
So if you use that as an area to prevent you from building your wealth and legacy, I'm going to tell you now, do your research.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do your research,
Mhm.
because this is one of the largest wealth transfer ever happening.
Mhm.
And when you start looking at the same way how we look at the new Nikes, right? The new
Mhm.
Jordans or what's new, look at what's happening with new assets,
Mhm.
new investment classes.
Mhm.
What's happening around the world? It's being used in Venezuela, Argentina,
El
El
Salvador. Yeah.
Nigeria.
Yeah. Mhm.
Common
South
sense
Africa.
right
Mhm.
now, but I'm telling you from my heart, do your research.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, there's a lot of news, there's a lot of information, cryptocurrency information out there, and it's not readily available, at least not extensively available on the major news outlets. So, how, if someone is not familiar with the news sources, how do you stay informed about the latest developments and trends in the cryptocurrency market?
Good question. So one for me is definitely about community. The information, there's too much information, and information is constantly changing. So the fact that we are a part of BK Crypto, we are a community group, and that helps a lot because honestly, I have a 9 to 5, and I'm a financial counselor by day, and I also have a business, BK Crypto, and financial soul healer. So when you have a lot going on, and you do know this is life changing, I make sure I connect with major communities. You know, I'm part of BK Crypto, you know, co-founders. We're part of Journey to Wealth with Alicia Holmes. We're a part of, oh my God,
Disruptor DAO.
Disrupt the DAO. Listen, community in this time and space is everything. Jump Out Girls, I watch them online as well. And it's because also I connect myself with people who are giving legitimate information and they're moving from the heart, honestly, because there's a lot of freeloaders out there, or people who are not in your best interest, and you have to really watch out for that as well. So I make sure I put myself on people's Discord and Twitters, as well as Instagram to an extent, and even some WhatsApp groups that are giving real vital information. And I do my research. I make sure that I'm on CoinGecko, right? I'm looking at Coinbase as well. There are just pertinent systems that are in place in this space that are getting legitimate information that I do the direct source as well. So my community, what about you?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a lot of what I use, and I'll add on to that as far as a cryptocurrency news aggregator. Crypto Panic is really good, because then that just, again, it's an aggregator. So you'll get news from various sources if you just go to Crypto Panic, and that's like a one-stop shop for your crypto news. And so for if you're not already in crypto, even if you are, just check into that and, you know, find out what's going on in the space, because it's a vast amount of information.
I also want to piggyback on some of the things that Sky was saying, Jump Out Girls, and thank you for the feedback when it comes to protecting. So people becoming their own bank is a risk because they lose their keys, accounts, and get hacked 100%. Leaving funds in exchanges, giving out personal information to bad players is happening every day, but it's also happening in traditional market. I can definitely count for that. I'm a financial counselor. We have a lot of clients that are elders, and they're being targeted, and they're being asked to give money from strangers that some of the conversations or scenarios doesn't even make sense, but you don't know because it's really sensitive. So that is a fact. Sky is saying, Sky High, hello, the United States owns Bitcoin. So glad to be in this space. We welcome you. Yes, thank you for the input. There's so many levels to this when things are changing. It's so funny because when you're in the game early and you start watching everything evolve, it's like the same game starts happening over and over again with the major players who are the top tiers want to own everything.
Yeah. They want to own and control everything as they
want to control
years, and they want to maintain that control. Let me see. So what you were just speaking about, we were just talking about, you know, remaining safe in the crypto space. So as far as, okay, how do you approach security and keeping?
Oh, most definitely. So one, I definitely make sure that I have a hard wallet, whether it's using my Ledger or my Treasure wallet, that has a lot of robust security. And then if you're a person that is looking at investing long term, then I would definitely advise putting it on cold storage, with obviously strong passwords and essential, because a lot of people in the space, even some of the clients that we coach, they're you know, doctors and they're nurses and they're attorneys, and they don't have time to be in a space to constantly change or get informed. They don't trade. So of course you never leave any of your crypto on exchanges. But if you're really doing this like a long-term investment, like your IRA, right, traditional IRA or SEP IRA, and you're treating your crypto investment the same way, put it on a cold storage and forget it. Right? Most people who are just saying, I have a certain percentage that I want to allocate to this space, whether it's 10% of your overall income, then just put it on pretty much digital ledger. If you're more advanced and you're like myself and Kim, sometimes we might have our crypto in hard wallets because we're constantly using it and moving it, and we're trading, right? Sometimes. So it all depends on your use case and what you're doing. But security and safety is important. Don't ever leave it on exchanges. The minute you buy it, even if you're doing a automatic pay, take it and transfer it to your hard wallet, to your cold storage. And security too as well. Make sure you have some malware, and you're also on Brave as well.
Brave browser.
Brave browser, 100%. And there's several others, but just giving you some just, you know, essential tips.
So you were talking about what differentiates for you between legitimate cryptocurrency and a potential scam? How do you differentiate between that? because people are constantly talking about scam cryptos and scam meme coins and things like that. How do you evaluate a coin?
Well, honestly, I use CoinGecko. I look at their website. I look at who the players, who's the company, who's backing it, who are the developers of the company. I'll go to their Twitter, their Discord. I'll see also too how big is the community, right? Who's involved, and then also understanding the utility. Does it bring purpose as well, right? And when I start looking at that, I also look at the market capitalization. So for me, I'm a risky player. I might do some micro caps, but I'm really into diversifying my portfolio. So I'll look at large cap, mid caps, and small caps. And kind of like when I assess that in their entry and how they're being their use case, then I'll make my assessment. Because I'm really intuitive and keen and I do take risks, I'm so aware of the games. The games that are not legitimate, even if something literally looks good. Like you'll have a coin come out and it's like 1 billion plus, and then you won't have a large community. Sometimes when you're just reading who the players are and you look at, you really can't find them. Something's off, right? Also, too, there's no real utility. It's really just kind of like promising you something, right? Promising you feel it when you're reading it, like you're promising me what, right? And it's so easy to create nowadays because technology's advanced. Anyone can create a coin, to be honest. So if you're looking or it's hitting you, I like to say in that gut feeling where you're feeling like I want to make quick money, then more than likely you're going to get caught.
That's true. That is true.
I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I know we don't generally invest in like those like slick, quick projects. We normally try to invest in projects that have been heavily vetted by some of the major institutions in the industry. So when you go through the white paper, you want to see or look at the website, you want to see who is already a champion of that project.
100%.
And right. As you navigate the space, you'll come to realize who those major institutions are, or what those major institutions are, and who those major players are. Some of them are individuals, some of them are people. And so once you have a handle on that, then you can venture down that rabbit hole. And I guess in that regard, we're kind of talking more about the mid caps and smaller caps, because the top 10, 20 currencies are, they've been around a while. They have a history and everything. So if you're brand new to, crypto, where you're going to start with those, and it's, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, we like to say, you know what, we don't have to complicate things. And shout out to Love, oh my gosh, Love, Lust, and Bust, April. What's going on? Thanks for tapping in. All the way from Morocco. We're looking forward for you to join Echo as well. Because you've got a beautiful journey in crypto too, that the people need to really hear your story. To your point, Kim, with the top 10, I want to simplify this. We want to simplify it. They say investing is complicated, but it's not. I think sometimes humans complicate things. I think that once you can allocate a certain portion that you're willing to risk, I think if you're starting out, look at the top coins, the top 10, maybe top 20. And whether it's through CoinGecko, whether it's through Coinbase, whether it's through Gemini, and research the coins. There's so much information. And like she said, most of these coins have been out since 2009, 2010. So they have history. They have history and they have real use cases as well. And some of them have big household names behind them as well. So when you're looking at that and you're feeling a little nervous, that's kind of like a safer way to kind of start. And because you also have the idea, I'm investing only what I'm willing to lose, just let it sit it and forget it. And then find your groups that you feel that you can connect with, that you can learn together. You can do your research. You can ask questions, because no question is actually dumb. And then you start advancing in the space as you go. But it's like also when you think about stocks, when you think about real estate, when you jumped in, you didn't know it, but you started researching, or maybe you had a financial advisor, maybe you had a financial consultant. You knew maybe your job had a 401k or IRA, but you knew that you had to have something, because you knew that if you put your money in an instrument, it was going to grow. right? And so we know we keep our money in the bank, it doesn't grow. It's a fact. Maybe you have, like, I personally say, to my clients in the daytime, because I can't introduce them to crypto, but as a financial counselor, we share about high yield savings accounts, where at least your money, at least the institution that you invested your money in is giving you some type of high yield interest, right? Versus a regular savings account. For me, my personal high yield savings account is that I put it in crypto. Do I know the risk? 100%. But I can tell you from my experience, me putting $300 in every 2 weeks into maybe a Bitcoin or Ethereum or maybe a Theta has increased my $300 as my high yield. For me personally, and when I had emergencies and needed and required it, I can take a little percentage out. But that's my personal strategy.
Right.
So it's strategies.
How do you think, or do you think central bank digital currencies will impact the crypto market overall? What are your thoughts on that? Because there's been a lot of news about CBDs.
How will I think that decentralized finance will revolutionize the world?
Well, we can get to that as well, but central bank digital currencies, and then
That's a good question, because that started a couple of years, well, but 2 years, the world.
CBD. Well, there were, Tether's been around longer than that, so that's that. Well, no. I'm sorry, that's a stable coin. So that's a whole other conversation where I was going to get to.
How will it impact?
Yes,
everything is going to always impact. I believe that central bank digital currencies in the space that we now, it can coexist with cryptocurrencies because everything has a purpose, and so it's in a sense it's going to impact adoption, it's going to impact regulation. I mean, they're going to find a way, like they did with marijuana. I'm just keeping it real, right? It's going to always impact and it's going to always coexist. It just depends on what side you want to exist on, because the government is never going to go away. So they're going to have to coexist in the transformation what's happening now, whether it's through digital currency, whether it's the World Wide Web, Web3, the internet, which we saw. They're always going to have to coexist, to be honest, but it doesn't stop me or faze me. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it's good. It's funny, as you were talking, I was sitting here thinking, you mentioned marijuana. I was thinking, people are always talking about the environmental impact, blah, blah, blah. So of growing some. So I'm just like, okay, so we're growing cryptocurrency. So what are your thoughts on this whole argument about the environmental impact of mining Bitcoin, so to speak?
You know what? I probably shouldn't say anything because I'm so liberal and everything, peace, love, and light. And then sometimes it gotta be chaos. We need disruption in life. You know what I mean? And honestly, there's always going to be something disrupting the environment. And I feel like there's always going to be something that can help to improve the environment. And I think there's so many more solutions that's not talking about to improve the environment besides the mining, right, aspect of it. And I don't want to get so deep because there's been so much disruptive of other countries going to Africa to mine things and disrupting the people in the land. So it's sensitive. Let's get some solar panels here. Let's get some solutions to how we can mine, because mining is a good thing. But let's figure out how we can improve the mining aspect on the environment, because this is another way where people can have passive income. And as I'm realizing, help others who are in a certain income, non-inclusiveness, financial inclusiveness. There's so many great potentials to this evolution of digital assets, to digital currency that's not being talked about. Actually, it is, but it's not being publicized to the main public.
Yeah, because the major institutions have been getting their ducks in order for years. At least since 2013, Chase has been, actively acquiring cryptocurrencies and other institutions as well. So, it's just that the average individual needs to pay attention to what's going on around them, because, no one's going to say, hey, go get this before we do. No one's going to tell you to do that. So it's on you as a free thinking individual to go and do some research, and you decide what you want to do. We're just bringing you information, right? Yeah. And we're a, community of people who, are, of the same mindset, right? or at least curious,
Well,
crypto curious. That's what we like to call ourselves. I'm
But what
sorry.
do
What
you
you
guys think? You know, what the community that's listening now, what do you think about mining in the environment? If you guys have any input on that subject, because I know it's sensitive to many. What do you guys think? I know we have people all around the world listening to us. What's your response to that question?
I don't think that I honestly, I believe there are some reports that have showed that that's a bogus statement that the mining is bad for the environment. They've shown that it takes far less energy than is being reported. So, I don't really, you know.
So Sky High says, and I love this. I love our educated, informed
Mhm,
community.
mhm,
Sky High says money has evolved over time. Who thought that we would be using cards as a form of payment
mhm,
60, 70 years ago?
mhm. That's true. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
Diners Club was first, yes.
The Diners Club card. I don't know if I was 12. I don't know how old I want to tell my age. I look good. But honestly, I think even just what Sky is saying, Jump Out Girls, April, I think what we're really trying to say here is even deeper. It's the mindset shift.
Mhm,
It's the transformation of the mind. You really can choose to evolve with the changes that's occurring in your life, in your environment. You can be a part of it, or you can choose to be like we have those a part of the blue zone,
mhm,
right?
mhm,
And that's okay too.
mhm,
But don't get lost in so much information that it this disrupts you for not evolving
mhm,
because you're thinking so deeply in the demise of what they want to create you, a disruption in your mind.
mhm, mhm,
The only thing that is constant is change, and we're going to constantly evolve. We
mhm.
have to figure out what's going to be the best for ourselves, our family, our community, and the world that we live in. If we're here on this earth for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, we've seen major changes in the monetary system, in our environment, in the things that we're eating, what's being produced, right?
It's true. Lord knows that's true. Hmm.
And now the cost of living,
Yeah, it's unbearable for many.
right?
Because you were just talking about the whole mining thing, so I just feel this is a perfect opportunity for me to mention. So, what are your thoughts, or can you explain the difference between proof of work and proof of stake? Because Bitcoin is proof of work. So, and then Ethereum changed from proof of work to proof of stake. So, can you explain that for people who aren't familiar?
So, let me get my information correct on this proof
Oh,
of work and proof of stake.
ah, well,
The technical aspect of it.
yeah.
I want to be very clear and direct, so let me just get a real educated response and
Mhm,
let me Google that.
mhm.
Because
Well,
I'll
while you do
Yep,
that, I'll
yep.
give the
So
brief.
very simple. No, make it
Okay.
simple. So proof of
Okay.
work pretty much is miners solve puzzles to validate transaction, but it's energy intensive and less eco-friendly, intensive. So
Uh-huh.
let me read it over. So proof of work versus proof of stake.
Mhm.
So proof of work is basically miners solve puzzles to validate transactions, but it's energy intensive and less eco-friendly. Now, proof of stake validators are chosen based on the stake tokens held, right? And it's more energy efficient, but requires an initial investment.
Mhm.
That's the difference.
Mhm.
Now, I actually do proof of stake and I do validation with my, oh my God, what coin is that?
Um,
Matic.
yeah, I was
Matic.
going to say Matic.
Matic. Yep. I stake that. And staking is kind of like, you had to remember, it's been so long time to Matic, like years ago.
Mhm.
So Matic, I stake it. And staking is kind of like you getting, oh my God, I'm getting a
Interest.
brain freeze.
It's like
Interest by your money being held, like a high yield savings account. So
Mhm.
staking is kind of POS is kind of similar to that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Hold on. I see something. Companies who are managing retirement plans like BlackRock are in crypto Bitcoin game. Thank you,
Yeah.
Sky. Yeah, so those are between proof of work and proof of stake. And so
Mhm.
again, great question. Thank you. I had to Google that to give you a more clear, informative answer here.
And we appreciate it. Let's
Thank
see here.
you.
So, what are your thoughts on no, what exchanges
Mhm.
do you generally use, like for someone who's just starting out? What exchanges, you know?
Oh, very simple. Okay, so anyone who's in the United States, as you know, we are being cut blocked. Sorry. So we're using the exchanges that are regulated. I
Yeah.
know my mouth is just so raw. So I use Coinbase and sometimes Gemini, and I actually do have automatic payments coming out my Coinbase because I do a lot of dollar cost average on my coins, as I'm using it as a form of retirement too for myself. Yes. So there's also cranking as well. And then there's highly advanced dexes that we use too. That's another time and another
What'd you say?
place.
Cranking?
Cranking,
What?
Kraken. Sorry, is it Kraken? Oh, you
I,
listen,
I was
Kraken.
really trying to learn, like, was this
I'm
one
like
I don't
Benedict
know
Five
about?
Guys. So it's Gemini, Coinbase, or Kraken. Kraken. Sorry,
Kraken. I've
Kraken.
never
Yes.
used Kraken, so that's why I was just
I've
like,
used that before.
oh,
I
really?
way back when, but I've used it.
Okay, okay.
Honestly, Kim, it's really important now to just diversify
I know, I need to.
your access.
Mhm.
Honestly,
Yeah, you
even
need
if you're using these centralized exchanges, because like anything too, how many of us have more than one bank? It's the same system. You don't want to keep your business, your assets, your money on one, exchange or one bank. Like I like to simplify doing like financial counseling. I say, have different accounts. That's for purposes, whether it's for your savings, whether it's for investing, whether it's for your 3 to 6 months for emergency accounts. Yeah, diversify it. Always have access, 100%. And if you're international, right, you
Right.
have a passport, you have more access than those who are in the States, to be
That's
honest.
true. That's true. That's true. So, and that's the thing. Cryptocurrency is portable with via your hardware wallet. It's easily portable. But so what do you? How do you feel about the integration? What do you think the integration? Just your thoughts. The integration between cryptocurrency and traditional finance as this industry evolves. How do you
What
think?
do I think about it? Like,
Yeah. How do you
how am
think
I
all this
feeling
going
about the integration?
or how do you
Um,
think is going to integrate? I mean, we don't know
okay,
what's hopefully going to
well,
happen, but
definitely. So I don't have a crystal ball,
Mhm.
but if I don't have a crystal ball, obviously, but intuitively, if I think about historical evolution and migrations, I think it's going to be a gradual integration. I think that it's not going to not happen. It has to happen because of historically of them collapsing the monetary system, right? The IMF has their reasons of what they're trying to do overall. The worldwide, what do you call that?
The West
Um, the World
Economic Forum, the West.
Forum. Thank you. Right there's a bigger game being done here, bigger than our understanding. But there's something that's happening the same way we think about the pandemic. And so I say that to say you have to be aware that there's going to be a gradual integration. My understanding is, where do I fall on that as it pertains to my day to day, being a mom, being someone who's about living life free, inspiring and educating people in this space, and also being a financial counselor, financial soul healer. How do we help people to evolve in their investing, in their lifestyle? And so it's being real of what's happening and what's the pros and the cons. So it's going to be a gradual integration. I feel that in the gradual adoption, there's going to be regulation. Regulation has to apply, to clarify certain things that's required from bad players as well. We're going to have to coexist like anything else. We just have to be on top of our game and not get surprised anymore when these things happen. Are we playing our cards right? Are we making the major changes in our life? Like when we think about as we get older, are we planning for retirement? Do we have traditional IRAs? Do we have 401ks, if that's your thing? Are we planning? Do we have passports, for travel? It's just planning, right? Are we equipped with the right communities? Are we a part of farmland, right? It's just really being equipped, not after it happens, to say, oh, this thing really is real. Now let me get in.
Yeah.
When it's been showing that it's been evolving consistently for the past, since 2019, no, sorry, 2009,
2009.
right? And so I say to our community, let's try to think ahead. Let's try to think future and have the vision, because the play on life evolution is always the same. When you think about it, it's different players, right?
got to think back to when the internet was coming about, and I mean, granted, there were things like Ask Jeeves and I can't think of all those different companies that were around, but, had
Hi, Dee.
Hi, Dee Dee. Had you put something in like Google or put something in Microsoft or put something in Apple, you'd be sitting pretty at this point. So it's about being at the forefront of technology, taking a few risks, calculated risks, but risks nonetheless.
And I want to bring up to that because yesterday we did actually advanced crypto boot camp with Journey to Wealth yesterday, and we were talking about that. And I know Alicia Holmes has a story that she says, she's a futurist. She thinks a vision, but she got into Apple early before anyone really realized. Yep, right. Apple stock, and like you said, sometimes we think so much bigger, which in a sense, it tricks us from even getting into any market. And so I said it to say, simplify things. You don't need a lot of money to make ripple effects of changes. You just need to start. I tell my clients, even in their budget, we have $10, start. Make it it's consistency. Take that $10 and invest every week into maybe Bitcoin, maybe it's Apple, maybe it's Ethereum, maybe it's Google, maybe it's BlackRock, Itbit. Like I'm just saying, create the muscle of habit. Because when you're consistent, when you're thinking, I don't have enough, that $10 is enough because that $10 times 4 is $40. And that $40 based on what instrument you choose to put in to create a higher interest on the money can turn to $45, maybe $50. That is more than you had before.
That's true. And that doesn't happen much with our regular traditional bank accounts. So what narratives would you say right now are the most promising in the blockchain technology space?
Oh, great question. Yep. So the narrative that's really happening right now, since we had the ETF of Bitcoin opening up, which gave options for more private sector like BlackRock and Fidelity to be part of the game, we're looking at real world assets, RWA. And so those real world assets are being tokenized. And it's funny because if I bring up my old notebook, my black and white notebook, when I got in here in 2017, I used to go to all the meetups. And I was like the only brown woman amongst men of different ethnicities, Indian, Jewish. And in my book, we talked about where this was going. And to be alive now, that everything that's in that notebook, for it to be valid, it had to be tokenized. It had to have custody, right? It had to be approved by the government and regulations. And I'm saying to myself, real life things are happening. So now you're looking at real estate being tokenized, right? You're looking at real world assets, derivatives, gold, silver, financialized. So those right now, a company called Proppy is really major right now happening. Undo, which is by BlackRock, I believe as well. So that's a major narrative. Another major narrative right now looking up to is AI and gaming as well, artificial intelligence. I mean, you're seeing in the health sector, you're seeing in the finance sector, right, as well. So those are really huge narratives. And another one, DePIN. Wow. Decentralized physical infrastructure. That is major play right now. Because people were always asking the question, is this tangible, right? Because the digital thing with some people, they needed to touch and feel, but with decentralized physical infrastructures, you actually can make money, right? With services like Helium Mobile, where I basically signed up and my son using Helium Mobile. And what that does is that it now pays me to use community network, and I get paid. So my monthly is $20, and because I'm moving around, my bill is getting paid in mobile.
And mobile tokens.
Exactly. So it's because at the end of the day, the data, which is our new currency, they've been not paying us for it. Right. Now with decentralization, we're now in a place where they're paying us for our data. Oh, Alicia, what's going on, girl? BK Crypto did an amazing job on Journey to Wealth collaboration for the Advanced Crypto Camp, and researching crypto and major narratives. Hey, what's up, Alicia? We're always talking about
Hey, Alicia.
partnership. Thank you. And also Dee Dee, so exciting, taking in all the information and growth. Exciting, yes. So Alicia, like I said, she's a futurist. And I think that, yes, maybe everyone don't
At least the
have,
boss.
right? She's a boss. I think everyone might not have that ability. And that's okay. But connect yourself with communities that are doing that for you. It doesn't have to be so complicated.
So, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing adoption right now?
Biggest challenges. Let me keep it really simple. Scalability and transaction speed. Public perception and education, right? And regulatory uncertainty. Like anything else being consistent. I would say those are the major three things.
Yeah, regulatory uncertainty is a real one because, I feel that the governments around the world are just delaying the being definitive on their stances. So we're kind of, as people, as lay people, are just in a hurry up and wait kind of standpoint. So, go, you want to say something?
No, I was going to say, based on what you're saying, because I just want to be so transparent with my community. Things take time. When you think about building wealth, it's not for the faint if you're looking for a quick fix. If you're looking to build your wealth, it's a gradual process. It's consistency. When you think about the pandemic, and I do say that, many of us were forced to do things against our religious beliefs. But as things started unfolding, things became more in our favor with the narrative that we realized what was really happening. So I say to you this. When we're looking at something with a major shift and change, it's not going to happen overnight. But when you know it's happening, be patient and diligent. Believe me, it's going to be worth the journey. Worth the journey to your wealth. If you can have that patience, and I don't say guarantees, but I say guarantees. If you're looking at life and the things that, think about the time when you were consistent and persistent and life changing, it made a difference. I tell you now, there's going to be regulations because you're playing with major big players. But when you be consistent, you're going to change not only your life, your family life, but your legacy. Take time. This space is amazing. Think about when we are evolving with the .coms, when they were like, no email. They couldn't control the technology, but it had evolved. Think about your snail mail to your email to the way you communicate on your phone to the evolution of now Apple. If you could just sit back and think about those times when where you were and where you are now, it's going to happen regardless. Find your community. See what you can afford to invest. Because the government is going to find ways to make changes and evolutions and regulations. And sometimes it's for your greater good. But don't fight it. Don't fight against it. Roll with it. Right, Kim? Like roll with it. We've been in here since 2017. And I'm talking about major shift. I'm grateful for the knowledge, for the wisdom, for the community, for the network, for the changes that has happened for myself and my family, for my community, BK Crypto, Disrupt the Dial, for Journey to Wealth, and so many groups that we connected with, that we empowered each other and others. Is life-changing. Be patient, be diligent, be consistent.
Be purposeful.
Be purposeful, yes.
And, just it starts with research, right?
That's it.
Yeah. I think that we will end it here.
Yes.
Thank
you.
I thank you for answering questions today. We'll do another Q&A type session another day, but join us next week when we interview another guest. And if you are a woman in technology or cryptocurrency and you're interested in coming on and being interviewed, hit us up. We'd love to have you on. If you haven't already done so, like, comment, and we'll see you next time.
Yes, we love you. And think about that, what's echoing your life and what you want to change and transform. Let's do it together.
Let's do it together.
Straight as the sun go down. Vibes that nice, and we got the